Here we go. Official trailer, Shadow and Fury. The War Within. World of Warcraft. Dark Heart. This thing can convert energy to shadow.
For so long,
Xal'atath?
I've watched you all. Your mortal struggles. Your proud defiance.
Ooh, Illyria's blown up.
The loneliness you pretend not to feel.
Interesting eyes. The loneliness you pretend not to feel.
You cling
Ooh.
to hollow faith. That can't
Look at that big sun right
sustain
there.
you.
Hold on, she says... Okay, well, we gotta... We'll go after.
You revel in power that cannot withstand what is to come. You
There it is again.
convince yourselves that you are of purpose.
You're a pawn.
Your great deeds can make a difference. But deep down, you know the truth. That when all your illusions are burned away, all that is left is your fury.
Ooh, the constellations. They look like they gave form right there. I'll have to watch that back.
And in the end, your glorious fury will be mine.
Your glorious fury will be mine. Makes me think of that spell. Isn't there a spell like Fury of Elune or something like that? Well, that was a lot. Okay, here, let's run this back because there's a lot of subtle stuff here. Even just the sound that they use to animate the illumination.
For so long, I've watched you all.
And the nebulous, like, space stuff with the purple lightning as well. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. We got purple lightning action. We got nebula. We got space. We got stars. Darkness. Mm-hmm. You know, this reminds me a lot of that art of the Pantheon from back in the day.
Your mortal struggles.
Your mortal struggles. Once again, the mortals being inept. Once again, we're not good enough, even in the eyes of the Void, which allegedly created us, which is not true.
Proud defiance.
Your proud defiance. You're too prideful. The Legion, I think members of the Legion said stuff like that to us too. Like Gul'dan said that we are very arrogant and stuff like that, which is funny coming from Gul'dan, but...
The loneliness you pretend not to feel.
And so I think what this is hinting at is, like, if we want to defeat Xal'atath, we gotta, you know, watch all the things she's saying are playing on the darknesses, right? You gotta basically take everything Zal says and flip it backwards and say, well, she's being evil, so we need to do the opposite of what she's saying. So if she's saying that we're ignoring our loneliness, we should probably start to look at that. You know? If she's saying we're too proud, we should probably start to look at that. You know what I'm saying? Consider it.
You cling to hollow faith.
I like that line a lot, especially with Anduin Wren walking through the fucking desert with the sun setting behind him. She says, you cling to hollow faith. Huh. Okay, I like that.
That can't sustain you.
That can't sustain you. That can't sustain you. There's so many callbacks to other characters' quotes in here, like N'Zoth. N'Zoth, for instance, like, for 1,000 years bound beneath these waves, I have watched you. The way that Zal kind of opens up here reminds me of that. The way she says, hollow faith which cannot sustain you, again, reminds me of N'Zoth. Only I can sustain you, which she says to Ashara. And then she has other allusions to things like, what is to come? It's a callback to like the jailer. A cosmos divided will not survive what is to come, right? What is to come? Maybe all of us, if this game turns out to be sick as fuck. But seriously, no, this is, like, I think that there's a lot of subtle callbacks, some not so subtle even.
You revel in power power that cannot withstand what is to come.
You revel in power that cannot withstand what is to come. And they show Jaina the mage, right? Maybe the most powerful mage even in the world, right? I think this is potentially even a subtle allusion to the arcane and even to the Titans, maybe. You know, your arcane magics, your illusory shit, that's not gonna fucking save you. And then I like this shot a lot. You convince yourselves. Also, Magni's certainly not as luminous and blue. Is Magni losing color? What am I looking at? Is he losing color? He's like half blue, half gray. What is happening to him? He definitely is. What the fuck? There's a quote, I think, from it's like from N'Zoth or Unod or something, where he says, it's like the king below casts away his diamond crown, and then he squeezes his hands and like dust falls from them. He needs to return to flesh, bro. I hope they do it, man. I really hope they do it. Magni needs to cast off the diamond shit, and he needs to be immortal again, because this is not looking good. It's like is this like dude, I need to know the mechanism of what's occurring. Is this like a suggestion that even in diamond and orderly stasis, you will degrade, you will decay? That, like, even in this state, like, everything decays. Everything is gripped by entropy. Even men made of stone. I've learned that. Koronos also showed us that as well. He's got missing pieces and shit, right? Being built out of stone and mineral does not subvert you from the cycle. But I wonder if he does, dude, what happens if he like degrades and his, like, what if his body, dude, this is, oh my, I can't believe they're doing this. Dude, this is such a good opportunity for like a mortal avatar situation where the avatar, the vessel is decaying, but isn't made of flesh. And so the way to, if your vessel decays permanently in this form, what happens to your soul? This could actually lead into the idea of Magni being freed from his torment by taking back his flesh, or by taking unto himself flesh. Like, they could spin this to really illustrate how, like, the ordering and how these like stone and like mineral based forms are basically prisons, and how like that can really fuck you in the long run, and that how like having flesh is important, right? Like how the end is important, right? The pain of flesh is fleeting. True torment lasts forever. And damn, dude, I was not really expecting. I didn't notice this when I first watched it. I didn't notice the lack of color, the way that it's just kind of graying out. What the fuck is happening to him, dude? I want to know so badly. I want to know so badly what this is.
Not withstand what is to come. You convince yourselves that you are of purpose.
And maybe Magni really does have a purpose, but maybe that first voice that he was hearing, maybe it wasn't always Azeroth. You know, when we go into Antorus the Burning Throne, he comes in and he says, I fought me way inside this accursed place. I heard a familiar voice urging us forward. And then you go deeper into the raid, and the familiar voice that Magni's hearing is Eonar the Lifebinder. And so it always left open a little bit of that interpretation of like, who was Magni really hearing? You know?
That your great deeds can make a difference. But deep down, you know the truth. That when all your...
That reminds me a lot of Gul'dan the Harbingers, actually. This animation. You know, if we were to like pull up Gul'dan Harbingers... I mean, that's extremely reminiscent of that.
You know the truth.
I mean, that's almost the same. I mean, yeah, that's a clear and intentional connection to Gul'dan. That is 100% intentional. Air is not missing. Yeah, he has air. In Thrall, I didn't see air. Yeah, I just see fire, earth, and water here, which that's interesting. I wonder why air is missing.
You know the truth. That when all your illusions are burned away, all that is left is your fury.
When all your illusions are burned away, all that is left is your fury. Illusions being burned away really makes me think about the Emerald Dream. And I still think about, isn't there a spell called like Ilune's Fury or Fury of Ilune or something? And then you have this constellation here, which clearly lines up with Thrall. His blue eyes coming through there. At least in this constellation, they glow a bright blue. So it's pretty interesting right there.
And in the end,
She's been kind of watching through this thing, apparently. It's like a lens.
glorious fury will be mine.
Also, in all these cinematics, they cut to this darkness, like, behind the world, and you can see this, like, very faint kind of nebula, almost. And then they do the pan over to the world. I think that's just kind of interesting how they keep doing that. Maybe it's just a suggestion that there's something in the darkness there that's kind of, like, making its way to us, you know? And Spell Plague, yeah. Remember that in Tomb of Sargeras, Xal'atath tells you, if you're the priest wielder, after you defeat the Sisters of Ilune, there's this floating fragment of Ilune's power, and she tells you to take it. She says, claim it, take it, and when you take it, it fucking kills you. And then she's like, oops, seems that the upstart goddesses still hold sway here. And you're like, thanks, you fucking bitch. But Xal'atath is basically already trying to convince the player to steal Ilune's power, and Ilune punishes you for it. So again, I think that they're continuing the subtle hinting at Ilune here. I think that at first glance, this is meant to seem like Xal'atath is talking just to the player characters or to these hero characters, which she is, I think, to a degree, which is also illustrated of, you know, Thrall's constellation and her kind of looking through it. However, this is a moment of frustration for Thrall, so the fact that she sees it through the constellation could indicate that this is something that is being divined through the stars, so to speak. You see how the constellation is like a representation of his angry face? It's like, well, does that imply that basically she's scrying through the stars at this point to basically see what's going to happen? That's kind of what the void does to a degree, right? So I could definitely see that, like, this is an outcome. This is something that she's kind of witnessing, and she's kind of witnessing it through. I really like the connection with the stars that they're doing right here. She's kind of like divining it through the stars, I think, through this like artifact, which subtly has like pseudo domination runes on it, by the way, with this like 3 down here. Oh, my camera's off. I didn't even mean for that to be the case. Sorry. I think I hit it so you guys could see what was on the screen. I didn't mean to disable that.
And in the end, your glorious fury will be mine.
Your glorious fury. Glorious fury. Interesting. Let me run this back one more time.
For so long, I've watched you all.
I've watched you all. What I think is cool about this shot is it reminds me a lot of Illyria in like 1,000 Years of War. Walking on like broken Draenor, you know?
Your mortal struggles, your proud defiance, the loneliness you pretend not to feel. You cling
That was a cool
to
transition,
hollow
too.
faith that can't sustain you. You revel in power that cannot withstand what is to come.
Dude, I love how they're almost like mixing these art styles. This is almost like that 2D comic looking kind of art style here. And then they get close and it's like 3D model. I love what they're
Revel
doing
in
here, dude.
power that
This is like kind of sick. It like pops like a like one of their visual comics or whatever. It's like, I don't know, dude. I love this like mix of like animation and medium that they're doing here.
you revel in power that cannot withstand what is to come. You convince yourselves that you are of purpose, that your great deeds can make a difference.
And so I'm assuming Magni's not hearing her anymore. So if he's degrading like this and he's in the heart chamber or chamber of heart, he's probably not hearing the voice anymore, which is extremely alarming. Because if other heroes are, then why isn't Magni? And is it possible that he was really hearing something different?
But deep down, you know the truth. That when all your illusions are burned away, all that is left is your fury.
Lashing out in anger.
And in the end, your glorious fury will be mine.
They've done a good job with Zal. Making her a pretty cool villain. They've done a good job. Hell yeah, dude. I mean, I think that this is pretty sick. I like all these videos, you know? I like all these a lot.